911, where's your emergency?
Yes, we have an emergency. He's not breathing at all.
Okay, can you start CPR?
Yes, my wife's trying. Keep going.
Who are we talking about? How old a patient?
He's 3 months.
Okay. Okay.
Bellefontaine, Ohio, a small town nestled in the Midwest where families live quiet lives, mostly untouched by the chaos of the outside world. Or so it seems. However, in this seemingly peaceful place, a tragedy unfolded in a 13-month period between 2014 and 2015 that would shock the town and the entire nation. Brittany Pilkington, a mother of 4, stood accused of an unimaginable crime. But what drove her to commit such atrocities? And how did this family's darkest secrets go unnoticed for so long? Let's dive in. The Pilkingtons seemed like a typical American family trying to navigate the challenges of life in the small town of Bellefontaine, Ohio. Joseph and his wife Brittany shared a unit in the Redbud Hill apartments with their 4 children, Niall, Gavin, and Noah, and their eldest child, a daughter. The couple generally kept to themselves, and they seemed to be a close-knit unit, striving to provide a stable environment for their little ones. But in July of 2014, the Pilkingtons' seemingly ordinary life took a devastating turn. Joseph Pilkington returned home from work one evening expecting the usual chaos of a household filled with young children. The playful chatter of his eldest daughter, the sounds of his wife tending to their little ones, and the gentle coos of their 3-month-old son, Niall. Instead, he was met with an eerie silence that immediately put him on edge. Walking through the door, Joseph called out, but no one answered. Making his way to the crib, his heart sank. Niall, their youngest, lay completely still, his tiny chest no longer rising and falling.
And I said, "Now, buddy, come on, wake up. So you can't sleep like that." I said, and I went to move him and he was cold.
911, where's your emergency?
Yes, we have an emergency. Our little infant, he's not breathing at all.
Okay, can you start CPR?
Yes, my wife's trying. Keep going.
Who are we talking about? How old a patient?
He's 3 months.
Okay. Okay, what happened prior to this?
I don't know. I just got home and I went to check my son and he's cold.
He's cold to the touch?
Getting cold to the touch, yes.
Okay, is she doing CPR? Is someone doing CPR?
Yes, my wife is, but I mean, geez.
720. What is your name, sir?
My name is Joseph Pilkington.
What is it?
Father. Joseph Pilkington.
Pilkington?
Pilkington.
Okay. Okay, I see that. Okay, I got that.
My son's name is Niall.
Okay, I have help on the way, sir, but I want to stay on the phone with you. Is anything happening with the CPR?
No.
Nothing's happening. Is she doing the CPR correctly?
Yes, she's still doing it. His lips are white.
His lips are white?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do 2 breaths and 30 compressions, okay?
2 breaths and 30 compressions.
Make sure the airway's clear. Tilt his head back, and you put them in the palm of your hand, like on your forearm, and push down in the middle of his chest with 2 fingers. Okay?
Keep going, honey. Keep going.
Is he crying or anything?
No. Niall, come on, baby. Keep going.
Sadly, by the time paramedics arrived, it was too late. Niall was gone. Questioned by police, Brittany claimed that she had accidentally rolled over on Niall while sleeping and suffocated him to death. The official cause of death was ruled sudden infant death syndrome, a tragic but not uncommon occurrence and one that often leaves families grappling with unanswered questions. 9 months later, in April 2015, it was déjà vu for Joseph as he came home to find another son, 4-year-old Gavin, unresponsive. Hospital staff worked furiously to revive the boy, but he did not pull through. This time, Brittany told police Gavin was breathless when she found him, and investigators found no signs of foul play. Still, 2 young children were gone from the same household in less than a year, and authorities had to take action. The deaths of Niall and Gavin set off alarm bells within the community, prompting Logan County Children's Services to take the 2 remaining Pilkington children, Noah and his sister, into protective custody while an investigation was undertaken. After a 3-day custody hearing, a judge, citing a lack of concrete evidence to prove the first 2 boys were intentionally killed, ordered the children to be returned to their parents with orders that Noah be placed on a sleep apnea machine and movement monitor. This decision was made despite the parents' refusal to sign a care plan or undergo psychological evaluations. However, just 6 days after the children were back in the household, emergency services would return to the Pilkington home.
911, what's the emergency?
Our son's on the apnea monitor and it's going off. He's not breathing.
Okay, how is his color? Is he bluish?
I imagine he's probably bluish by now.
In the early hours of August 18, 2015, Brittany called 911, reporting that her last remaining son, 4-month-old Noah, was struggling to breathe. Paramedics arrived quickly and managed to revive him briefly, but the infant was pronounced dead at the hospital shortly after. With Noah's death, a grim pattern emerged. 3 small boys, all under the age of 5, had died in a Pilkington household within 13 months. Authorities could no longer dismiss these deaths as tragic coincidences. Community members were stunned, outraged, and demanded answers.
Very much pissed off right now.
They just got this baby back like a few days ago. Yeah, and then this happens. I could never imagine doing something like that. It's just horrible that all this has had to happen. Something should have been done a long time ago when the first one died. There's no emotion, no regret.
Joseph was thoroughly questioned and not implicated in the deaths of his children. Suspicion then turned to Brittany, whose unnervingly calm demeanor after Noah's death raised eyebrows. She was asked to come to the local sheriff's office for questioning the same morning as Noah's death, and she complied. Brittany's lawyers claimed that after she waived her Miranda rights, she was subjected to more than 9 hours of interrogation without food, water, or a bathroom break. She was aggressively berated throughout the questioning before finally breaking under pressure. According to police, Brittany confessed to smothering her children with their own blankets. Her reasons were chilling. She claimed she feared her sons would grow up to be abusers like their father and believed their deaths would force Joseph to focus on her and their surviving daughter. The confession left investigators reeling, transforming what had initially appeared to be a tragic series of incidents into one of the most chilling murder cases in Bellefontain's history. Brittany was swiftly arrested, charged with 3 counts of murder, and held on a $1 million bond. With the death penalty on the table, her trial was scheduled for February 2016. Meanwhile, as the investigation into the Pilkington household deepened, both the police and Brittany's biological father were convinced they had the right person.
I'm satisfied that today we have a reason behind it. We have the person that's responsible behind it, behind bars where she belongs.
If she admitted to it, obviously she done it.
That's Pilkington's father. Her mother sees it differently. She told me off camera she spoke to her daughter by phone, and Pilkington told her she did not kill her sons, and that confession came after hours of interrogation.
I do want to talk with her and to try and get a little closure on why she did this.
Brittany confessed, and it seemed like an open and shut case on the surface. But was it? As investigators dug deeper into the Pilkington family's past, a far more unsettling picture emerged, a household riddled with dysfunction long before the children's tragic deaths. At the center was Brittany Renee Cummins, born in January 1992 into what seemed like an ordinary upbringing, but appearances were deceiving. When Brittany was 7, her parents divorced, and her mother began a relationship with none other than Joseph Pilkington. Yes, that Joseph Pilkington, the man who would later marry Brittany and become a key figure in this horrifying saga. You see where this is going. According to the Logan County Prosecutor's Office, Joseph eventually moved into the home when Brittany was 9, presenting himself as a caring stepfather. But behind closed doors, investigators uncovered something far more sinister. Court filings allege Joseph exposed Brittany to adult material and initiated inappropriate contact from age 11. This toxic situation took a devastating toll on Brittany, leaving scars that would shape her future in ways that are hard to fathom. Investigators also learned that in 2009, Joseph was enrolled in a court diversion program for a felony child support case from a prior marriage. During a meeting with a county employee, he disclosed plans to marry 17-year-old Brittany, whom he impregnated. Knowing the family's history, the employee referred the case to Children's Services. Bellefontaine police investigated for potential sexual battery, but prosecutors chose not to pursue charges, citing Brittany's age, just months shy of 18, and the couple's impending marriage. Detectives with the Logan County Sheriff's Office have said they tried back then to get Brittany Pilkington's mother to cooperate in an investigation, but she and her daughter refused. Furthermore, Brittany told detectives that her father beat her when she was growing up, and that caused her to have bad feelings towards her sons. After each boy's death, she watched as Joseph got closer to his remaining sons, and this bothered her even more. Brittany stated her desire was to have the boys out of the way so Joseph would pay more attention to her and their daughter. She also admitted wanting Joseph to find the boys' bodies so he could feel the pain of losing them. Meanwhile, the state painted Joseph as a controlling figure who kept Brittany isolated, a dynamic commonly seen in cases involving women convicted of killing their children. Although he wasn't implicated in his children's deaths because, according to police, there was insufficient evidence to prove he knew or should have known that his wife was going to harm the children, Joseph's own legal troubles were far from over.
Well, Jack, we got the indictment this afternoon. Brittany's husband, Joe Pilkington, arrested for sexual battery because he was acting as her parent when he got her pregnant when she was 17. Now, we talked to Brittany's biological father tonight, and he says he tried to put a stop to their inappropriate relationship years ago when he called Children's Services.
It should have been looked into, yes.
Ed Cummins hasn't talked to his daughter Brittany the last 2 weeks. She's been in jail for murder, but...
Yeah, I still love my daughter, always will.
So when he had suspicions years ago about his daughter's relationship with her new father figure, Joe...
We had called Children's Services about this because we felt that something was going on, and nothing ever got done about it.
Logan County's current prosecutor, Bill Gosley, says Joe should have been arrested years ago because he was Brittany's father figure parent when he got her pregnant at age 17, and he was also dating Brittany's mom at the time. Court documents say he signed off on medical and school papers as Brittany's guardian. Tonight, 6 years after the alleged sexual battery involving young Brittany, Joe Pilkington is behind bars in Licking County, where family says he's been hiding since his wife's murder arrest. Ed is thankful Joe's finally locked up for what he suspected for all those years.
Especially prosecutor, now that he's seeing what we're kind of seeing.
10 months after his arrest, Joseph pled guilty to a reduced misdemeanor sex charge. His sentence included a $250 fine, 15 years on the sex offender registry, and a suspended 60-day jail term with credit for the 21 days he had already served. 1 year after the death of Noah, Joseph agreed to be interviewed by a local news station.
He started a relationship with Brittany when she was underage. Prosecutors say he was also involved with Brittany's mother. And prosecutors say the boys' murders were a result of Brittany's jaded relationships with the men in her life. But Joe told us that's not the story.
You know, we were involved at the same time, and I've read all kinds of crazy stuff, and you know, there's just no facts in that at all.
Joe Pilkington sharing his side of the family saga. He says Logan County prosecutors distorted when the case broke in summer 2015.
He was never married to her mother, but nonetheless they lived together as a micro family.
They kept telling us that you were her father figure. Would that be accurate?
No, I kept getting into circumstances where the mother wouldn't, you know, she'd say, well, can you help me with this? I don't have a car.
Joe said he lived separately from Brittany and Brittany's mom, Lori Cummins, who prosecutors said he was in a relationship with from the time Brittany was 9 years old.
I started out, it was a long history throughout years. The mother was being abused. Her mother was okay with us getting married, and she actually called for us to get married. Gavin liked dinosaurs, and Niall and Noah both liked giraffes, you know, and it was just to like being read stories, to like kisses and bottles, and they loved being held, and you know, nothing can replace that.
Joe was shaking as he spoke up about it for the first time. He says he didn't know his wife was being investigated for the first 2 deaths, and says he would have quit his job and stayed home if it meant saving his kids' lives. He took their only daughter to get genetic testing as a precaution.
Those were her babies too. She was that stone cold that she could fool everybody.
That's what I don't understand.
Joe spent time in jail himself for gross sexual imposition. After it came out in court, he sexually abused Brittany before they were married when she was underage.
You fell in love with Brittany?
Yes.
Now, he feels he's being persecuted for their relationship, and people are forgetting the investigation into his wife could have saved their 3rd son Noah's life.
My children are gone.
And you blame the system?
I do. I will forever blame those people that were involved.
You don't think they did enough?
I absolutely do not. I just want answers for my little girl, and there'll never be any answers, and I know that. I gotta quit looking for them. And I gotta forgive the people that made mistakes.
With Joseph's case resolved, attention turned to Brittany Pilkington. Would justice be served for the Pilkington boys? It would take more than 3 years before the case reached a resolution. During pretrial hearings, Brittany's defense argued that years of abuse and brain damage from childhood lead poisoning had left her mentally impaired. They also claimed her confessions were coerced under the intense pressure of police interrogation. Prosecutors, however, took a different angle, portraying Brittany as a mother fully aware of her actions who deliberately murdered her children in cold blood. In November 2019, the case took a turn when a hearing was held to inform the court that the parties had reached an agreement.
Counsel ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Next case we'll call is State versus Brittany R. Pilkington, CR 15080225. The defendant is present with her counsel, Court Gotterdam, Mark Triplett, Tina McFall. The state is here with the County Prosecutor Eric Stewart and a Senior Assistant Attorney General Dan Caceres. Counsel advised the court that a plea agreement has been reached. Counsel want to put the terms of that agreement on the record, please.
Yes, Your Honor. As outlined in the plea petition, Your Honor, the state has filed a bill of information outlining 3 charges. The defendant will enter a plea of guilty to the charge of involuntary manslaughter in count 1, which is a felony of the 1st degree, murder in count 2, and murder in count 3, all in the bill of information. Consideration of these pleas, the state will move to dismiss the indictment in this case, and the defendant will no longer be charged with the 3 counts of aggravated murder with death penalty specifications. And the state will prosecute no other charges arising from the facts and circumstances leading to the original indictment. The parties have entered a joint sentencing agreement and will recommend to the court that she receive a sentence of 7 years in prison for count 1, involuntary manslaughter, an indeterminate sentence of 15 years to life in prison for count 2, murder, and an indeterminate sentence of 15 years to life in prison for count 3, murder, with those sentences all to be served consecutively. Also recognition that she will receive jail time credit of 1,555 days as of today's date, November 19th, 2019. And the parties agree that imposition of court costs and other financial sanctions will be waived in this case.
There would be 5 years post-release control under count 1, correct?
That is correct.
And parole for life under counts 2 and 3.
That's correct, Judge.
Your Honor, I believe the parole is a term of 5 years to life.
5 years to life?
Minimum 5.
Thank you. Any other additions or corrections to the plea agreement?
No, Your Honor, that sets forth the agreement of the parties.
Okay. And the bill of information has been filed and copy furnished to counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Would the counsel please present the waiver of grand jury to the defendant for her signature? Paul, you want to read the defendant's statement then?
I do, Your Honor. Ask for permission to read it from a seated position next to her.
You may.
Brittany Pilkington takes responsibility for the deaths of her children by and through her plea today. She's unable to give her own statement at this time because she's so emotionally affected by what's going on around her. But she asks that this court hear her through counsel. She wants the court to know that she loves and misses all of her children, and she grieves for them every day. Brittany's had a difficult time understanding how her life turned out the way it did. Over the multiple court hearings in the years that have gone by, Brittany has learned that there were people in her life that suspected the sexual abuse that she was enduring, and that they were brave enough to report it to Children's Services. She wants to thank them all. Her brother Brandon, her uncle Jeff Scaggs, the ER doctor that treated her, members of the prosecutor's office, and her teacher for reporting their suspicions. She wishes that she had been removed from her home as a child and that her life could have been different as a result. As far back as Brittany can remember, she has lived life with debilitating fear, anxiety, and terror on a daily basis. She thought it was because she lived with Joe Pilkington since the age of 8 and because of all the abuse she endured, and she was afraid of him. It wasn't until she was evaluated by Dr. Jeffrey Madden, Dr. Fratkin, Dr. Bergman, and Dr. Kahn that she began to understand that her brain is damaged in an area that might cause the anxiety, the fear, and the terror she feels. She had no idea that that was even possible. She wants to especially thank Dr. Madden for ordering the PET scan that revealed the specific areas of her brain that are damaged, so that maybe she can get the proper treatment and rehabilitation that she needs. She also wants to thank the jailers for their protection and kindnesses over the last 4 years, especially Miss Kim and Miss Diamond, the inmates that have also extended their protection and kindnesses to her over the years. And she wants to thank the nurses at the jail that were finally successful in getting medication for her anxiety and depression. Brittany sincerely hopes that the information gathered in her case can and will help other sexually abused children in the future, and to help them to receive help early. Brittany wants to tell her mother and her father that she forgives them for any shortcomings that they may have had as parents when they failed to protect her from Joe Pilkington, because she now believes that no one could have under the circumstances. He was just too good at manipulating. Brittany takes responsibility for the death of the children by pleading guilty to these charges today, and sincerely loves, misses, and grieves the loss of each one of them. She hopes that life will be kinder to her daughter, and that someday Haley may be able to forgive her. Thank you.
The defendant stand. Is there anything you want to tell the court before the court passes sentence?
No.
As to count 1, the involuntary manslaughter, the death of Nile, the court, pursuant to the plea agreement, imposes a 7-year life, 7-year sentence. As to count 2, murder, the death of Gavin, the court imposes a 15 years to life. As to count 3, the death of Noah, the court imposes the same 15 years to life. The court finds that this is a case where consecutive sentences are permitted, even demanded by the law, that the court finds its consecutive sentences are necessary to protect the public from future crime and to punish the offender, and the consecutive sentences are not disproportionate to the seriousness of the offender's conduct and the danger the offender imposes to the public. The court also finds that at least 2 of the multiple offenses were committed as part of 1 or more courses of conduct, and the harm caused by 2 or more of the multiple offenses so committed was so great and unusual that no single prison term for any of the offenses committed as part of the course of conduct adequately reflects the seriousness of the offender's conduct. In addition to the so the net result is that the sentence of the court is 37 years minimum to life.
As the great Russian writer, philosopher, and moral thinker Leo Tolstoy once wrote, "All the variety, all the charm, all the beauty of life is made up of light and shadow." For the Pilkington boys, Niall, Gavin, and Noah, it seems their short lives were cloaked in shadow, with little opportunity to experience the beauty Tolstoy describes. Their deaths are a heartbreaking reminder of how easily vulnerable lives can slip through the cracks of a flawed system. While Brittany Pilkington has been sentenced for the murders of her sons, the case still leaves us with profound, uncomfortable questions. Was justice truly served? Or were the boys failed long before their deaths? Not just by Brittany, but by the systems and people around them. And what of Brittany herself? Was she merely a perpetrator or also a victim of the abuse, manipulation, and isolation she endured? Can those 2 identities coexist, or does her guilt erase any claim to suffering? As we close the chapter on this story, one final pressing question remains. Will society learn from the failures that allowed these events to occur, or will these lessons be forgotten, much like the boys themselves were overlooked in life?